My name's Brent Lubbock, and this is Sylvan Heights Bird Park, one of the largest bird parks in the entire country. And we're really happy you guys are wanting to learn more about our place, and we hope you'll come visit. We have birds from all around the world, such as flamingos, owls, parrots, cranes. A lot of our focus is waterfowl, ducks, geese, and swans. And the way the park's set up is into continentally themed aviaries, so you can go through Africa, Australia, Eurasia, and we have some other additional exhibits such as our Wings of Tropics and Birds of Paradise, where you can get really close to birds. And one of the most popular things, of course, is our landing zone, where you can hand feed our parakeets and our flamingos.
Oh my God, that is amazing. Now, I understand that there's some endangered species here as well. Talk to a little bit about that.
Yes, sir. There's about, I'd say 18 different endangered species. We even have a thing called the Endangered Species Passport that people can get and go around the park to learn more about the endangered species here. And some of these species that are endangered are some of the last ones in the world, and this is a place we have them, and we try to take care of them. And we also try to work in the foreign countries where they're from so that we can help those populations increase. So it's very important that not only do we educate the public, but that we can help with the future populations with putting them back.
Now,
They won't sting you. Okay.
now, you just mentioned from the country that they're from.
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, we have a lot of birds from all different parts of the world. The only place we don't have is Antarctica. So you've got species from Asia, South America, Africa. So when we say we have endangered species at the park, it's not just from one continent. It's from many different continents. A lot of those are waterfowl, because that's our main focus, is the ducks, geese, and swans. And when it comes to reintroducing those species back to the wild, you have to work with the local governments. You have to learn what made them endangered. And then you have to try to make sure that when you go to those countries, you figure out ways to correct those situations, even if it might not be in the same place, because that's what made them endangered in the first place.
That's wonderful. Now, this park here in Scotland Neck, when did you establish it here in Scotland Neck, and how did that come to be?
Okay, that's long gone. So basically, my family and I, we moved from England back in the early 80s. My father, want to read more about him, it's called the Waterfowl Man, Mike Lubbock. So Mike and Allie, my parents, they met in England at the Wildfowl Trust, and they loved waterfowl, ducks, geese, and swans. But to have their own collection like they wanted and really focus on that, England wouldn't let them do that to that level. So they moved to Alabama, Montgomery, started there for a while, and then a business partner in Sylvan, North Carolina, a man named Hank Marion, said, I really like what you're doing. I don't have the expertise in it, but I have the land and the area. Would you be interested in working with us to help build the first collection? That's where Sylvan Heights comes from. Because a lot of people see Sylvan Heights and they go, well, in Piedmont, North Carolina, there's no heights. Well, Sylvan means wooded. We were in Sylva. We were high up. So the original name was Sylvan Heights Waterfowl. And we were there from 84 to 89. Hank Marion sadly passed away, and his son wanted to build condominiums and said, it's great what you're doing, but could you get out of here so that I can build condominiums? So we said, oh, all right. And luckily, some people from Scotland Neck, who are my godparents, Toad and Hannah Herring, said they got birds from us. Would you be interested in moving to Scotland Neck? So in 1989, 6 hours east, we moved the entire collection with chain link to Scotland Neck, built the breeding center, which is still here today, and been doing the breeding of the birds since 89. But in 1997, there was concerns because I always say feather millionaires. You don't make a lot of money in this, but you do it because you love it. But how do you keep it going? And the North Carolina Zoo and Zoo Society said, we hate for you to lose this facility in North Carolina. Maybe you should create memberships. So we created a membership so people could come see behind the scenes. We did a duckling day so they could come and have a breakfast and meet the birds. But even that wasn't creating the kind of revenue to really sustain in long term. So there was a question of, what if we went public? And I was graduating from East Carolina University with a degree in communications and marketing. So there was a conversation, would you like to put your degree to use? And I said, well, I know the birds, I know the area. And in 2003, we started designing the idea of a park. And that was across from the breeding center. With the zoo already having Africa and North America, we said, well, we have enough birds currently that we can do North America, Africa, Australia, Eurasia. And since we supply a lot of the waterfowl to all the zoos in the nation, we could be able to get birds such as flamingos and parrots and cranes, creating one of not only the biggest waterfowl facility in the world, one of the biggest bird parks. So in 2003, acquired the land, designed the aviaries, built this park, and in October of 2006, about 19 years ago almost, we opened to the public.
Oh.
And ever since then, we've continually grown and added more components. But one of the nice things I found, not only are we helping to maintain the collection of birds, but the educational impact we've had for the region and having young people that can't always get to the zoo or the aquariums or adults to be able to come here in Scotland Neck, North Carolina and get experience and see these birds up close, understand why they're important, and hopefully have an experience that they remember for life.
I see, speaking of education, I'm looking at these kids behind you. Talk about how the programs that you got here for education, if you will.
Yeah, no, our educational component is a very important part. I mean, when you come out here, we call it edutainment, or whatever you call it. So there's signage and information around, but we have actual programs designed for the schools and for adults too. We do adult programming that deals with the standard course of study, and it's a lot of focus on ornithology, birds, and wetlands. And so we have K through 12 programming, and it's just a great way for the schools to be able to get some programming. And some of the school students, they might not have a program today. It's a field trip, but because we have a wetland passport and we have scavenger hunts, they can add those components. And wait.
Yeah, hold on 1 second.
Yeah, and also with the landing zone, they can have a positive impact when interacting with the parakeets or the flamingos. And they're also being close to the wetlands.
Yes.
We're able to get the young people to see their own habitats around eastern North Carolina. So when people leave here, we're not only wanting them to go, oh, that was a beautiful tropical bird. We love for them to see some other birds. And so maybe when they're out and about in North Carolina, they go, hey, mom and dad, that's a wood duck over there. What's a wood duck? And that is important to us because that's the next generation. And I think all the generations, the more we can do to kind of protect what we have and take care of what we have is going to be important for keeping it.
Now, I understand that schools can't necessarily do field trips unless it's kind of an educational component.
Some and some not.
Okay.
Yeah. So today we have about, I think it's about 6 different schools, some about 50 students, some to a couple hundred students. And some of them, you're absolutely right. Some of the schools, private, charter, public, they will maybe say, well, you got to have a program. And luckily we can offer programs. But some, it's just, we want to have a field trip. But when we come to your facility, we want to make sure the kids also leave with an experience. That so they're going back and they learn something.
Yes.
So a field trip out here isn't just a day at a theme park.
Yes. And it's not a theme park. It's a learning environment.
Yes.
For sure. And how long do the kids stay out here when they come? What time do they arrive? And how long does it take to walk through and go?
Most of the schools arrive about between 9 and 10 a.m. based on how far out they are. And they're going to spend a couple hours before they have to head back to school or, before that. And they'll most times have a lunch or a picnic out here. Mm-hmm. They'll either bring their lunches or they use our cafe because we have some food that people can get too. And they talk to our educators before they arrive. So we make sure that they have what they need when they arrive. And we check on them when they get here and set them up and give them what they need if it's scavenger hunts or if it's going to get into a program. Mm-hmm. So each school is going to be doing something a little different, but all the components are here for them to get what is needed on a visit like today.
Now, I'm looking at flamingos over here. Talk to me about them, if you will.
Sure. So the flamingos we have in the park, there's 3 different species. We have the lesser flamingos, which have their own aviary, which is interesting because there's a building in the back. Flamingos don't like to breed unless they're in large flocks.
Oh.
So that building actually has mirrors in it, and that helps them to breed and do stuff. Flamingos are very interesting birds. They're normally near water. They use their bills to build those mounds, which they nest on. And when you get a flamingo egg, you can write on a chalkboard with it because of the chalky substance. The ones that are on the back on the multinational, which we have a camera you can see from there, are Caribbeans, which are a North American species. They're also the same species you can see in our landing zone. And so if you get a little bag of feed, you can actually hand feed those flamingos in the landing zone. And then we have another flock of flamingos called the Chilean flamingos, which are found in South America. And there's about 7 or 8 different species of flamingos in the world. So we've already got 3 species, so you can see the different varieties, which is pretty cool.
What is the most popular attraction here?
The most popular attraction, I'm not gonna lie, is our landing zone. And that's where you can hand feed a parakeet and see a flamingo.
Well, look. No. There's one on. One on you. One on my hand. I'm going to do that. It's not my dad. There's a Flamingos.
I'll tell you, you want to know what the next most popular attraction will be?
Yes.
It's going to be next year when we bring penguins, because I know everyone wants to see penguins, and we're working on that. And once we open that exhibit below the pavilion, we'll have the African penguins, which are a more warmer species. A lot of people, when they think penguins, and there's about 18 different species of penguin in the world, they think of Antarctica. There are actually penguins found in Australia, South America, and Africa in the southern tips. And that's one of the species that has become very endangered in the wild.
As well as New
there's quite a
Zealand.
few, and New Zealand, yep.
Yep.
There's quite a few in captivity, and we're hoping to educate the public and educate them the importance of water.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Now, those are fantastic exhibits, and we'll take a walk around and look at some of those in just a moment. But now, talk to us about, obviously this series is Halifax County, town by town, celebrating your roots.
Yes.
Why is this so important to Halifax County?
Well, celebrating the roots and connecting to our town and the history of there, I would say Scotland Neck, the town we're in, is interesting because we are a town that was Scottish settlers settled on the neck of the river. So that's why it's called Scotland Neck. Before the bird park was built, we were known for parking in the middle of the road. So our town goes way back from back in the day when, you had the open area. But historic Halifax, which is just down the road, 1776, it's where the whole Declaration of Independence was first started. And they took the provision there. We were the first state to push for that independence. And it just started down the road. And as I said, when we wanted to take part in next year's festivities and this year's festivities, what's important about Scotland Neck and Sylvan Heights, you wouldn't have been able to write the Declaration of Independence if it wasn't for having a feather. And I have a lot of feathers here at Sylvan Heights. So if you're coming to Halifax to celebrate history, celebrate the outdoors, I think it's great that we have Sylvan Heights here so you can see where feathers come from. Because without feathers back then, you wouldn't have been able to write those things, and with the walnut ink too.
That's great. I love it. That's great. And when is that celebration going to take place?
So we have the April 11th and 12th festivities that are happening this year, and then we also have the happening next year. So the best thing to do is go to visit Halifax, and on that website you can see all the different activities to do. But what's so great is you might be coming out to historic Halifax to celebrate, but our county, out of 100 counties in North Carolina, we have a state park, we have the river trail, and we have Sylvan Heights, and we have all these other things you can do. So you can spend a wonderful weekend learning the history in Halifax and learning the history around our whole area. And there's wonderful restaurants and accommodation to have a wonderful, wonderful weekend here in our neck of the woods. And it's not as expensive as some other places either.
Now, I understand, Brent, that you not only run this place, but you give back to the community. You serve on a lot of different boards and different things.
Yep.
Talk about those and why is it important?
Yeah. So actually, Sylvan Heights is a 501c3 nonprofit. So all the money that we earn goes back into building and doing what we do with the business. So if anyone's watching and they know anybody that wants to support this, I can promise you'll see where your dollars go, and that's here. But yeah, when we first started, I realized the importance of being involved in lots of different groups, because here in Eastern North Carolina, before there was a bird park, I had some people out here and they said, "What's the most important thing in Halifax?" And I mentioned Historic House and all that, and they said the Roanoke River. And I said, "Why is the Roanoke River so important?" They said, "The river was here before you, it will be here during you, and it'll be here after you. And if you don't protect that natural habitat, we're not at the coast, we're not in the mountains, but this river that actually surrounds 5 counties is a very important part. And it's important to historic Halifax too, because that river was a form of trade. It was also used during the Civil War and other wars. And so to me, it was important to serve in different groups. So I'm the chair of the Roanoke River Partners, which is now the Roanoke River State Trail also. And I also serve as the secretary on the Halifax Convention and Visitor Bureau, which is important because we have so much to offer. And I feel like it's really important that I know all the other things. So when someone comes here and they go, "Well, I don't like birds." Well, hold on here. I might know something you do like. And I think it's important to know all the things that are out there. And I want to make sure to make those connections. And in a small community, building those connections is vital for having people to know what we are here and what we're doing. And so that's why I serve on all those different boards.
That was absolutely perfect.